everyone. Good evening and welcome to Soul Survivors of Chicago's Breaking the Silence show. We want to welcome everybody who's come on. If this is your first time coming on, I want to say thank you. Please come back here at CAN TV. We're so grateful for this platform. And if you're returning back, welcome back. That's my hype button, and I love it, and I'm going to use it, okay? Either way, I want to welcome you all and just go ahead and get started in our topic today. As you know, Breaking the Silence is a platform to talk about mental health, suicide prevention, talk about the stigmas that are related to that of such, and bring up interesting perspectives as it relates to how we can move better in our wellness. And today, who joins me is a very good friend that I was so gracious in my journey with Soul Survivors to contact and took my call and went ahead and we partnershiped. This is the fabulous Andre Martin.
Wow, that's an intro. Thank you so much.
Andre is a program director.
Correct.
With a Safer Foundation, and the program that he manages and has a lot to do with the infrastructure with is called Crossroad ATC. And today we're going to talk about a subject as it relates to mental health, depression, suicide, and those things with those who are in the incarcerated population, and how we work with that and address it and the importance of it. So I want to thank you, Andre, for coming on. I mean, this is so great. This is one of our first and our only monthly contacts that we have at Soul Survivors, where we go out and we talk to those who are in the ATC program about the importance of mental health and suicide prevention. So enough said. How are you?
Well, I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here because you know you do so much for our population. So
well, thank you. Thank
absolutely.
you. Yeah, you do too. And I appreciate you and all you're doing. I know it's a charge. So with that being said, tell us what Crossroad ATC is. What is it about?
Well, so Safer Foundation is an organization that helps individuals who have a history with the system, with the incarceration system. And that not is just incarcerated individuals, but they could be persons who have a history of arrest or probation, parole, anything along that spectrum. And so what we do, Safer, our main priority is to help persons with that background to become employed. We understand that if someone can obtain employment, especially stable employment, then their recidivism rate, the rate at which they would return to the system, decreases by at least half. And so, for instance, we see rates within the state that are anywhere from 58, 60% plus of those individuals that might return to the system. And in Safer Foundation, we've had rates anywhere from 16 to 30%. Of persons that that might recidivate, and so again, we see that that's half, and sometimes even less, depending on what their background is. So that said, with Safer Foundation, Crossroads ATC is Crossroads Adult Transition Center, and we house about 200 plus gentlemen at that particular facility. We have two, Crossroads in North Lawndale, and it's a residential facility where gentlemen can come and spend the last maximum of 2 years of their sentence, and again come to us, and we have a full spectrum of services that we provide. So we help them with employment, and we now have an employment rate of 95% of our population that's employed. So we work with partners in the community to help them get work. We help them reintegrate back with their families, and they have opportunities to go and see their families and have passes and recreation time with them. We do things with health care, and that's part of the reason that I'm here today, is because we're involved with a comprehensive program that deals with their mental wellness, their mental stability, and all those different types of things. So we do the best we can to engage in their entire life while they have us.
Wow. So a whole spectrum of things to work with.
Absolutely.
Because when you look at a person and the whole totality of them, it's just not get a job, get a house, have a child,
Absolutely.
Be involved with this, pay that. It's about a spectrum of things.
Absolutely.
And if you have a great balance of them, or at least you understand the importance of working with each part in its own unique way, then of course things kind of work for the good.
That's right.
Especially if you put the work in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So let me ask this. What I always never did ask you was like, when I took the chance and I called Safer Foundation. I was
Yes.
directed to you after a couple of, hold on one second, got somebody. And I was like, okay, I'm going to pitch this idea, to talk to the persons in the program about mental health, to share my story of loss of my son by way of suicide, and hopefully gain some interest. What is your thoughts on, one, maybe when you reflect back on that, why was it important then, and now why is it important now to continue with these discussions with those particular persons in the program? Or what are your thoughts about it?
Absolutely. So I can tell you what really charged me in regards to what you were saying, and making a connection to have a working relationship with that. What we find in the system is that there's so few resources to help persons who have different, whether they're situations or whether it's a lifetime experience or whatever it is, and I don't want to say things like, just health issues, mental health issues, but just resources in general to help with wellness, that it was a breath of fresh air. To hear you talk about what you wanted to be able to share. And why it was so significant at that particular time is because I've been in the business for 25 years now. And over time, what I've definitely seen is, as a society, we do things like we take persons who have complications in life, and that could be a range of anything, and we cast them to the side lots of times. When I say that, there used to be a lot of facilities that would help with mental health, mental illness, that would help with just dealing with family crisis and those type of things that people had access to, especially access within our communities. And you don't see that as much anymore. And so now a lot of the incarcerated population are people that are just struggling with personal things, and they found their way into the system by way of being entangled in different things, and had they had some of the other resources, they may have made some different decisions. And to have someone in the community that had a heart and a passion for doing work that would reach other people in this way, it was incredible. So that was then. Now, what we're finding, and I'm going to get the chance to brag on you a bit, you and your program, is what those of you who may not know what's been happening here with this. Let me say this. So what some people could have seen as a tragedy and taken them way down a different dark road, this lady did not do that. She decided, hey, you know what? Instead of being a weapon to destroy me, this is going to be a tool for me. And it's not just work for you, but the gentleman that we have, and you can attest that every time you come and have a presentation with our clients, someone comes up and says,
every time.
I can attest to that. I can feel that. I've been through that. Well, I'm so glad to hear that you shared your story every single time. And what we're finding now, more often, is that not only do we have that, but we're finding that the gentlemen who wouldn't talk about any of their issues are the ones now that are talking. It used to just kind of be something where they say, so glad you came, wow, you're strong for doing that kind of thing. But now you have the gentlemen who are really struggling. So over time, our population has changed.
Okay.
So we used to have nonviolent offenders, people who had been gone for 2 to 3 years. These gentlemen now, sometimes we have been gone for 10, 15, 20, 25. The last group I had, this gentleman was gone for 32 years.
I met someone with 41 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so over that long period of time, you can just imagine, your own barriers that you've set up, your own, the own things that you have. So we see all kind of situations with gentlemen who have fear and anxiety and with different, levels and different things happening. And so these gentlemen are talking, but they're talking after they hear you talk.
Oh, wow.
So it's making a huge impact. So
let me hype on that.
Absolutely.
Oh, the virus. Thank you. Ooh, that is so good to hear.
Absolutely.
So good to hear.
Making a huge impact on our guys and our population. And I say our guys because, we have an all-male facility.
Right.
Which is another thing. They're hearing a young lady come in
Didn't think about that.
Because see, when you're not in that setting, you don't think about the dynamics that go on with that. Because we think about things as we would our normal everyday lives, our everyday activities, but it's a whole different dynamic. And men, men with issues, it's rare that we actually talk about issues in the first place. Many things in not just our community, but just growing up as men, we're taught this is what you do as a man.
What you do.
You buck up, you don't shed the tears, you don't show the emotion, you don't let people see who you are. All of those things that kind of go into that.
Right.
So imagine that to be double, triple in a prison system. So now you have these men who are showing emotion, these men who are shedding tears, these men who are talking about some of the deeper things in their life, in their hearts. And that's huge. Yeah. It's huge. And I have to be honest, folks, this wasn't happening in our facility prior to Survivors Chicago coming in. I can tell you that.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Look. I wasn't expecting that, y'all. I really wasn't. But it's such an honor to hear that because when you come in as a grassroots organization, you just want to spread the message and just hope it implants just like a little seed you put in the ground.
Yeah.
And what we have found, oh my goodness. Like Andre said, there has not been one time since we've gone. And we do a really structured hour with the gentlemen who are coming in to orientation, and they get a chance to watch the documentary that's on our YouTube page. We Cry Your Tears, the Jamal Clay story. But after it and having a discussion about mental health and my experience, and it might be because I'm a female, I just thought about that, and the reality of now expressing it might be a safe space. To express it versus what they used to be dealing with was all males within the last couple of years. Now you have someone who's very vulnerable. And the stories that we are hearing and the things that are touching, I never expected. I never thought. Just talking about my son and what I endured and what I learned and continue to learn and what they're sharing would make such a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Absolutely.
and what it does. That's so great to hear.
And let me give another perspective too. It's not just that you're a female, you're a mother.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge impact because one of the things I'm a little different than some program directors. I literally do regular groups with my guys, and that doesn't happen a lot of times on that level, but I need to be able to see that they're feeling, they're understanding, that they're sensing, that they're getting, that they're grasping, that they're touching, because again, our objective is really to help you make this transition and to make it work. And I tell them often, if you go through this program and you're not different when you come out, I would rather you not have come at all. Because then it's just been a waste for you and what you could have been doing. And so I'm very hands-on. But one thing that we hear and we see and we talk about a lot is how they feel about family, especially mom. So when they have a mom come in and share her heart, it touches in ways that so you hear the conversations and the comments about your presentation and about you and your son, all that. Months and months later, like I said, I had the guys, some of them for 2 years, come back and they talk about, when mom was here, and she talked about that, it just made me think about the different ways that I've interacted with people, especially my mom, and how I need to do something different because, so in so many ways, it hits and impacts the community and the people that we work with. So, okay, she didn't pay me to talk about this, but I just have to let her know because I know these things she doesn't know.
Because I ain't got no money. But I thank you for that. I do feel genuine of that. And I do remember, and I continue to get so filled with the stories and just the understanding of connection, because in this world where we deal with mental health and with suicide prevention, it could be very scary.
Absolutely.
To actually say to someone, I'm going to give you my most inner thoughts, my innermost feelings. What are you going to do with it?
Absolutely.
And I've never spoken it out of my mouth. I've heard it a lot of times in my head, but not said it out my mouth. What can I trust? Will you respect? Will you do the right thing? That's a very tough thing. That's a very tough thing. And I think that decision to make that choice comes through these conversations and having these groups and having ability to share So I'm grateful for that. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. It's really awesome. We
Yeah.
have that.
Wonderful.
And the stories will stick with us because that's important to know. I did not think about how after a conversation someone can now feel the breath of, oh, I can speak now. I can share this. This is just me thinking that.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what happens often is that opens the door. You know, because one of the things that I say often is just have a conversation with somebody. You know, there are several of us here that you can talk to. It doesn't have to be me. There could be several of us. And usually what happens after that is my 8-hour days go to 10-hour days and 11-hour days and all that, you know. But when you're in it for the reasons of being, you know, someone to help someone else, you know, that doesn't become as crucial to you because you see the impact. And I'm literally watching men transform in front of my eyes, you know, before my eyes. And that's the most significant part of it right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this conversation about mental health and that kind of thing is so necessary and prevalent because there's dysfunction that, you know, it's just so rampant on different levels, you know, and some of it can people can really receive help from it on levels, varying levels. You know, again, just having conversations with people, you know, can help to ease your anxiety. So when we think about the population that we deal with, some things that people might not think about is we regularly go to a gas station or to a grocery store or to something else. Well, again, think of having 200 men in a facility, and when they arrive, and it's time for them to go and get, you know, personal hygiene items, toothpaste, toilet paper, soap, towels. They're so fearful of going into this environment, you know, because
so stimulating and so different.
Absolutely.
Although I've been in a store before, this is too overwhelming. You know, it's like too many this, is it too many of that. All the rhythm. I do know that.
There's 50 aisles and there's people everywhere. And wait a minute, what do you mean? You know, you don't have somebody ringing your stuff up anymore. You know, you have to use a machine to kind of check yourself out. You know, what is that? You know, so we literally have times in which people go in, they come back out after half an hour with a pack of gum. You know, we have to say, okay, let's try this again. You know, okay, so we'll walk with you because I don't want to say, hey, I'm nervous to do this because I'm an adult man. How am I going to tell somebody else, hey, you know, can you go into the store with me? Because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to, you know, interact with people like that. So again, what we find is now that you started coming into our facility, it opens the door for conversations like that lots of times before we get there.
Wow, that's great.
And that's it's major.
Yeah, that is major.
It is.
Because I think we take those things for granted. The population that we're serving has so many different dynamics, but those who are returning back and coming into society, a lot of it has changed. A lot of it is continuing to change, and how we keep up with it, you know, as just those who are going through it, we have our challenges. So imagine those who have been, you know, separated for so long and now coming through, you know. And then this big word of anxiety and this big word of mental health and this, you know, this big word of, you know, feelings. You know, it's like you're talking about a group of persons who had to shut off feelings. I think, and from what my work in social work and even working in, I worked for a 1 year I spent at Louisiana Correctional Institution for Women. And that was the most life-changing experience in being in that environment with 962 women of all different types of issues, mental health, that kind of thing. But knowing that at some point there was an end date for Benny and coming back, and how we as society need to understand, because we're dealing with and wrestling with just the whole COVID that we just came through. Now we're getting to a point where, you know, like you said, you can't buy any grocery without tapping a phone. I don't have a phone. I don't know what a, you know, those kind of things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We take them for granted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do. And even the interactions that they have, again, so you talk about a phone conversation, you know? So again, here's a mom, and I'm hearing her talk about feelings and that kind of thing, you know, whereas when I was out some time ago, then maybe my conversation with mom was, hey, mom, how you doing? You know, now I'm processing how I feel about that. Hey, mom, how you doing today? How are you feeling? Those different types of things. So, yeah.
One of the things in mental health that I'm learning, and you can share in your experiences, that I'm learning that it's time for us as a community to really talk about how we're asking these questions. You know, are we asking the right questions? That was a perfect one you said. Like, first it was, how you doing, Ma? Oftentimes we say, how you feeling? I'm okay, you know. But the root of it is that doesn't give me enough substance.
Absolutely.
I'm okay. How are you? I'm fine. But in reality, are you really?
Absolutely.
And so I always think about, you know, those really key questions that can give you things. Because some people operate more with thought than their feelings.
That's right.
So you can actually go to a person and say, what are you thinking right now versus what you're feeling? And that might give you more exposure.
That's
or, like Andre said, asking, how are you really doing?
That's right.
You know, even the one I really love is like, what's the one question you wish people would ask you today?
Oh, that's good.
You know, when you get those things, then they go deeper and they can give you that. Because my son and a lot of kids and all of us, we always say, I'm okay, just to kind of keep going with the next section of whatever the conversation is. So those are important things to note.
Absolutely.
What would you say would be an important thing for those who are coming back, whether it's the ACT program or just returning back into community with mental health and what you've learned, that they should kind of keep in mind as they transition back into society and those kind of things?
Good question. It's a process.
Okay.
It takes time.
Okay.
Allow yourself to experience that and not have to feel like this has to happen now, this has to happen, or else I'm failing. You know? And even in that, we fall down. You know, when you start to walk, you do that and you fall and you get back up and you learn from that. And you learn, okay, so I can balance myself this way. You know, let yourself experience the process and don't try to do it alone.
Okay, I love that. So experience the process. Don't try to do it alone. Those are key things. Another thing you spoke about was the resources and the lack of them and what we have in the community. What are some key points that you would like those who are returning to know, or some things that maybe the ACT or Safer Foundation can assist with as they are continuing their journey back into society? Or some things that you might want to share that might be helpful when it comes to accessing resources?
So we often think that there's no help out there. Or if there is help, I'm kind of, you know, I'm too proud to ask for it. Please understand that there are resources. For instance, your organization, you know, the gentleman never would have thought from many of the conversations that they would have even accessed a web page like yours. You know, that they would have decided, okay, well, let me have a conversation with her. And just from talking to her one time at the end of her group, I feel so much better. And now I can have a conversation with my child.
Okay. So
you
conversations and
absolutely.
continuing those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, so there are resources out there. Please be sure that you utilize them. And if you don't know how to find them, please ask someone. You know, there are people around that will help point you in the direction to which they are.
Yeah.
Again, conversations, communication, let's talk about this.
Absolutely.
Breaking the silence, let's talk.
Breaking the silence, that's what it's all about. You know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of things to think about with Mental Health Awareness Month. And it just brings a light in what we're doing here at Soul Survivors and Breaking the Silence is the importance of your health. Your health is your mental health is your wealth. Nothing else makes you more richer. And with that, if I could ask you one question just to summarize, what would you say would be one piece of advice that you got about mental health that you would like to share with the community or that you would share with the population that really struck you, outside of many things you spoke of today? Like one piece of advice or one...
So, as someone who's trained in that, that's actually my background, right? It's a continuum. Okay. It's a continuum. Lots of times we think, oh, okay, I got that, and I'm good. I don't have to continue to work on this kind of thing. No. Mental health, just like physical health, it's something that you continue to work on, continue to develop. Do it throughout your life.
Wow. So continue the cycle. Do not stop at one point. Keep it going. With that being said, I want to thank my guest, Andre Martin, Program Director with A Safer Foundation Crossroad ATC program. I want to thank you for taking the time to sit with us and join us in this important conversation. Look forward to seeing you next week, 6 p.m. on Channel 21, CAN TV. Have a beautiful day, be safe, and be well. Bye-bye.